Hello everyone, this is Tynrael. Welcome to Ark Survival Evolved. Today I'm going to discuss a little bit about tribe manipulation for server administrators. Here you can see I have some guardillos, a couple dodos, I was going to start a farm, and a really shoddy hut that doesn't even have a roof. Accompanying me is Warrior and Builder. This is Farmer, and we are all part of the tribe Solitaire. The interesting thing about all three of these characters is they are all myself, and I play each of them. And I don't know if anyone would have any interest in doing something similar or anything like that, but when I was looking for information on how to edit an Arktribe file to replace a character in a guild without admin privileges inside the game, because I was the admin and the other people were off on vacation, I didn't find any. So I kind of brute forced it, trial and error, edited a bunch of files, and I'm going to share what I figured out. So let's get started. Okay guys, this is not about hacking someone else's server or doing anything like that. This is just for people who are hosting their own servers and want to do some things with the tribe system that you're not able to do in the game because you're restricted to a single character. For the first time, I would recommend you guys follow along with what I'm doing, because it can get a little complicated, and if you don't cross all your T's and dot all your I's, you will not be able to get it to work, and it can be pretty frustrating. So for this tutorial, I'm just going to spawn all of my people in South Zone 2 because I'm familiar with it. And if you're following along, I would go ahead and create a survivor, and I'm just going to name this guy Player 1. Now, if he stays here on the beach while I go through and edit other characters, he will probably be consumed, so I'm just going to talk for a moment while I run him to a safe location. So this is primarily something that I set up so that I could control individual characters that could all share the same resources. The way Ark is set up to allow single characters is for specialization, to promote cohesive tribe membership. Everyone does something, and you're not able to use all of the engrams. And I actually kind of like that idea. I felt like just having a single character who could do everything. That looks like an ichthyosaurus. I can't tell in the dark. We'll hope that it is. Nope, that's a megalodon. I was going to swim over to this rock where I would be safe from all of the shore predators, and I may die in just a moment. Anyway, it may seem a little schizophrenic to set up something like this, but it's kind of how I wanted to play, and if you guys wanted to do something similar, this is how you do it. Go ahead and press L to bring up the tribe manager, and what you're going to do is create the tribe that you want to have everyone else be part of. So for this tutorial, I'm just going to name it Tutorial Tribe. And now I have a tribe for Player 1, and he is a member of it. Now exit to the main menu. And what you're going to want to do is locate where you have all of the files saved. So I will cut to that and see you in a moment. What you're going to want to do is locate where you have the files saved for your server. That's probably going to be wherever your server is set up or installed. Shooter game saved, saved arcs. Here you can see I have an Arktribe. This is the test tribe that I just created. And there's also an Ark profile. The Ark profile is going to have a 17-digit number in front of it, which is unique to your Steam ID. This is basically what gets loaded and is why you can only ever have a single character. Now we're going to manipulate this a little to enable us to use more than one character. And if you think it's too tedious for accomplishing this, then it's not something that you have to do. But this is the only way that I've found to get this set up right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm just going to call it Player1. Now, the whole trick behind this is getting all of the characters that you want linked into the same tribe so that you can share everything back and forth with them while you play by yourself. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut it and paste it in here. So now there is no longer a player profile here. We're going to go back into Arc and create our second character. Now, because you cut that player profile into the Player1 folder, it's no longer recognized as your character, so you get prompted to make another one. So I'm going to name this one Player2, spawn them in South Zone 2, and see where they end up. So we're pretty close to where Player1 was. I'm just going to get them together. Now, all of the information for these individual characters is stored in the player profile. So what they're using, what engrams you've spent, what their experience is. And so it's important that you preserve all of the Arc profiles while you're manipulating them. When you're transitioning from one character to another, you probably want to copy the Arc profile that is in the saved arcs location to the folder so that it gets updated, because what you're going to be doing is copying over it with an Arc profile from another character. So if I was, say, playing Warrior, I leveled up Warrior a few times, I learned some engrams, and then I wanted to transition over to my builder who has the engrams for all the structures. I would copy the Warrior file into the Warrior folder, and then overwrite the one that was in the saved arcs with the one that is builder. So you can see here's Player1, he is in tribe, tutorial tribe. This character is not currently in a tribe, but the easiest way to take care of this is to create another tribe. Certain attributes don't exist in the files in Arc until they're created or they're used. So there is actually no tribe information to be populated. It's not like tribe is empty or anything like that. They don't exist. And the easiest thing to do is create them so that you can manipulate them without having to add all of these complex hex values and setting up all the bytes to make it happen. So this is going to be a throwaway tribe that serves no purpose other than to populate some of the information in the Arc profile. So now you just exit back to the main menu and tab back to where the saved arcs are. When you get back to where your arcs are saved, you will see that there is a new Arc profile that has been created. It will have the same 17 character string of information that represents you. I've obscured it, just make it all ones just because. And you will also see that there is a second tribe that has been created. The second tribe is actually not needed and could cause you confusion if you're not taking note of the numbers for which one is which. So this one has a date modified that is more recent, so it's the one that Player2 created. I'm just going to delete it because it's not important. What we're going to do now is edit the Arc profile for Player2 so that we can attach them to the tribe. The tribe system is kind of a two-part pairing that goes between the Arc profile for the individual character and the Arc tribe. This information is also stored relative to what the player does in the world in the Arc Island. So there's 3 different places that this can affect. But for what I'm doing, we're only going to be editing the Arc tribe and the Arc profile. For this, I use hxden as a hex editor, and I'll include a link to it in the description. I'm going to open that right now and show you what you have to do in order to figure out how to add this tribe information to Player2. Now you're going to want to open up HXD and you want to load in your Arc tribe as well as the Arc profile for Player2. Now here in the profile for Player2 is information such as the Steam identifier, your Steam name, and also the code that is used to determine what your character's unique byte information is for Ark. It's randomly generated for each character, and it's a 4-byte code that you're going to need to know to take care of this. So what you want to do to find that is you want to go to Player ID, uint64 property, and you're probably going to see some interesting looking characters over here on the right side. That doesn't necessarily mean that all of the characters are going to show up like that, but what you're looking for is where those characters are in this location and a bunch of leading blank bytes. What you want is the first 4 bytes after the leading zeros. So you can see here that there's leading zeros before and after, but that is not always the case, especially in the Arktribe file. So you want to write this down probably so that you can distinguish between where this begins and where it ends when there's a bunch of bytes that are all together. So player 2's unique information is 9A98FD0D. This is something that you're going to need to know a little later, but what we're going to do now is we're going to add the player 1's tribe information to player 2's Ark profile. So if you go to the Arktribe file, you can see it's got some information such as the name, who's part of it. You can see that there's player 1 is in here, as well as some other information such as the tribe ID and the name and who the owner is. This is player 1 here. But what you want is you want the tribe ID int property. So J3T0, this is the 4-byte code for the tribe that player 1 is in, tutorial tribe. So you can see that this is 6A33544F. You can see that there is a 12 after this that shows up as a dot over here in the string. This is not part of the tribe code, which is why it's important to make sure that you're looking at the first 4 digits or first 4 bytes after the leading zeros. So what we have is we have this code, and we can just copy it and then go to player 2's Ark profile. At the very bottom of this list is going to be some information that was added because we created a tribe for them. Tribe ID int property. Now you can see there is a KRA here. You can also see that there's a trailing 09, which is not part of it. We just want to focus on these first 4 bytes. This is the generic throwaway tribe that we created for player 2. So what we're going to do is we're just going to paste these 4 bytes over and then save it so that player 2 is now enlisted in player 1's tribe, at least from their Ark profile. Before you go forward to the more complicated section, this gets a lot more complicated. When we actually begin editing the Arktribe, what you should do is after you save this file is log into player 2 and see what they see when they look at the Arktribe information that they have. If it works, you should see something that I'm going to show you in just a moment. If it doesn't, you should go back and look over what you've done to make sure that everything is correct before you move forward. I really think that Megalodon wants to snack on my tasty parts. But anyway, if I check out my inventory, you can see this is player 2. Player 2 is level 1. When I go to Tribe Manager, you can see that the tribe that shows up is Tutorial Tribe with members player 1. This is exactly what you want to see. If you do not see this, you have probably made a small mistake. You want to go review what you've done and just make sure that it is spot on correct. If you end up with a snapshot _16, if it freezes there, that will happen a lot if you have missed something, and it can cause problems later on down the road. When you start editing the Arktribe information, if you mess up and it freezes on the snapshot 16, it can actually boot you from the server, but log in your character at the same time. So even if you edit the file so it's correct, you won't be able to log in. So if you do something like that, it's annoying, it's a huge pain. You have to shut the server down and then start it back up so that you can actually log in after you've fixed it. So this is what you want to see. Now we're going to go to where we edit the Arktribe file, and this is more confusing. It involves editing a lot more values in hex, adding bytes where they're needed, and also converting decimal to hex to match up some numbers. So let's go take care of that. If you have had a hard time up until now, or this is kind of stressing you out, now might be a good time to take a break, and then you can come back to this, because this can be a huge, huge pain. And I'm showing you what I have done in the past. I have made this work for several different tribes, up to 5 characters, and I don't think it should matter. You can edit more than one character at a time and piece it all together. As long as everything's right, it will go seamlessly. Everything doesn't happen all at once, though. You can edit all of the players into the tribe correctly. You can edit the Arktribe file correctly, but it doesn't actually get updated until each character logs in. So in my case, for Builder, Farmer, and Warrior, I added 2 characters to the tribe, logged all 3 of them in, and that fixed everything, so it was the way it was supposed to be. And then I just had the original creator of the tribe promote the other 2 members. For this tutorial, I'm just going to be adding a second character, but the principles are the same, and you can also use this information to change other things. If you wanted to change the leader of your tribe, if you wanted to promote someone in the tribe, you can all do that here in the Arktribe file. Currently, there is no value for the people who are promoted, and that's something that you could edit in manually, but just like with the way we created a second tribe for player 2 just to add that to their file, the easiest thing really would be to promote someone in the tribe and then edit those values or add more as needed, so it would automatically insert all of the bytes where they needed to be. In addition to that, I mean, you can change the name of the tribe here, but it gets complicated because you have to look for bytes that add up to how many characters exist, plus additional other information in order to make that work. Like tribe, I think that this is it, 3F will be the hex value for the tribe name. But it's stuff that you can do in-game. You might as well do it in-game because it will be a lot easier. But now, I am ready to get started for this. What you want to do is you want to locate, let's see, we're looking for members, player name, array property, strength property. So you're looking for this part here, which will be towards the lower part of your tribe if your tribe only has 1 character in it. Now here, after array property, you can see there's a whole bunch of these dots in the string view. But the second byte after array property is actually a 13. 13 is the hex value for 19. And 19 is the total number of characters used for the player's name plus 5 preceding bytes plus 4. Now this probably sounds complicated, and I don't actually know where it comes from or why it's set up that way. It's just something that I puzzled out comparing various different Arktribe files. And this value is going to be something that you will need to change after we add player 2. So if you look down past str property, you will see player 1. This is where player 1's name is entered into the array of tribe members who are part of the tribe. Every single one of the player names has a 5-byte preceding header to it. You can see that these are all zeros except for the second byte, which is 0B. It's hex for 11. So what this value is the number of characters We'll ignore that error from Windows. It's probably saving in the background because the server's still going. But what this is this value in the second byte of the preceding 5 for each player's name is the number of characters for the player's name plus 1 in hex. So player 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 characters long, plus 1 is 11. 11 in hex is 0b. So that is something that you want to keep track of. If it does count spaces, whatever your character's name is, just count it up, convert it to hex, and put it in the second byte of the preceding 5. Now, after this is a 00 and a 14. I don't know what a lot of the trailing numbers are. I only know that in some cases they change based on whether or not the tribe is made up of one or more members. It's best to leave these alone when possible. What we're going to do now is we're going to move the cursor after player 1 and go to Edit, Insert Bytes, and this is where we're going to insert player 2. We know how many characters we need to add, so we're going to choose decimal because we want to use decimal values for this. And we need to add 10 characters for player 2 because that's how many characters it is, plus the 5 preceding bytes. So we're going to add 15 bytes, and we're just going to do hex values of 00s. And we're going to insert those. Now it's easy enough to see what's going on because it makes them all red. And so what we want to do is we want to add this second byte for how many characters the player's name is. It's the same number as player 1 because 1 and 2 are all both 3 letters. So we're just going to put 0b for this. And then we want to move over so that we end the 5 preceding bytes. And you can just put your cursor over here on the right hand side to edit strings. And we're just going to say player space 1. So what this essentially means is, well, let's make that player 2. Okay, so now we have the 5 bytes, the count in front of that, and player 2. So this is set up for the name, and this is where we go back to the 13 at the array property. So that was correct for just a single player. Now what you have to do to edit this is think about what it is. It's the total number of characters for all of the members of the tribe, plus 5 for each member of the tribe, plus 4. So player 1 and player 2 are 10 characters each, so that's 20. 5 preceding bytes each, so that's an additional 10. So that's 30, plus 4 is 34. So I'm linking a conversion utility or web page that I used for this. It allows you to convert back and forth between hex and decimal. But 34 converted to hex is 22. So in order to finalize this, we have to change that to 22. Now another important thing to note is str property. This area that precedes where the actual player names are. The second byte after this, which here is 01, this is the number of players. So depending on how many people you are adding to your tribe or existing in your tribe, you want to make sure that this number reflects that. So we're going to change this to 02 because we have 2 members of the tribe. So next, what you're looking for is members player data ID array property after where you entered the names for all the members of the tribe. The second byte after this is 08. What this is it's the total number of bytes for the unique identifiers of all of the members of the tribe plus 4. So in this case, it started out with 1 member. There's 4 bytes for each identifier plus 4, so that's 8. So we're adding a second player So that's going to be 4 plus 4, which is 8, plus 4, which is 12. And if you convert 12 from decimal to hex, what you get is 0C. So this is going to become 0C. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go look at the area under uint32 property, which immediately follows it. You can see this string of interesting characters here, followed by a 05. This is another trailing byte that we don't want to mess with. But the 63B8932A is the unique identifier for player 1. You see it again up here for owner player tribe data. Player 1 is the owner of the tribe. So that's what you would change if you wanted to change who owns the tribe. But what we need to do now is we need to go after the 2A, which is the end of player 1, before the 05, and we're going to edit, insert bytes, make sure it's decimal because we want to enter a certain number decimal. 4 and 04, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same in hex or decimal. You only need to convert to hex if your decimal value is greater than 9. But we're going to be inserting 4 bytes. And this is where we go back and look at player 2's identifier that we recorded earlier back when we were adding the tribe information to them. So that was 9A 98FD 0D. And so now that we have changed that, player 2 is now listed here as part of the tribe. And now another thing is in the uint32 property, the second byte after this is 01. This is another number referencing how many players are actually part of the tribe in this location. So that's another thing that we need to change to make sure that if you have your cursor over here on the right side, you will be overwriting bytes with actual values. We're editing the byte numbers, so 02 for 2 members of the tribe, or however many members you're editing. So basically, this is a little long-winded and it's editing a lot of different things, and it becomes more complicated the more members you're adding to your tribe. But this is the essential information for actually getting it to work. And that's actually all you need to do. So now I'm going to save this, log back in as player 2, and we should be included as part of player 1's tribe. So I will see you there. When I initially logged back into player 2, I was freezing to death because it was dark and I am cold without armor. I was going to go make a torch, but this guy has been tracking me all around this rock, and I was not able to even cross over here in the shallow area. But anyway, when you log back into your second character, if you check the tribe manager, you can see tutorial tribe is now composed of 2 players, player 1 and player 2. Now this is exactly what you should be seeing. This is what you want. Now, you want to be very careful, as I mentioned earlier, about managing the Ark profiles because you can only have one at a time. So now, if I wanted to promote player 2, if I had done anything with player 2, I would want to copy player 2's Ark profile into a player 2 folder, after which I could copy player 1's Ark profile from the player 1 folder back into the saved Arks. And then when I loaded back into Ark, it would load player 1, at which point I could promote player 2 to become an admin. Now this, it's a lot of shuffling around files, I guess, but you don't have to exit Ark completely, and I have Ark installed on a solid state right now. Just tabbing out, copying a file, and then overriding it with the character I want to play. I'm out of the previous character and back loaded into the game for the new one in 30 seconds. It's not a big deal. And it's a good way to accomplish this if this is something that you want to do. Now, if you freeze at snapshot_16 and get kicked out, server disconnect, or desync, or anything like that, it means that you've probably missed something very, very small. Errors that I have made frequently, I guess, are using the number of characters instead of the number of characters plus 1, not adding the checksum value or re-updating it for changes that I made, like if I increased a player's name to something that was slightly larger. Updating that in both the area for the 5 bytes preceding it, as well as before that for the total for all the members of the tribe. I hope that this tutorial was clear enough for you to follow it and understand what was going on. It's a little complex, and I think that's about as simplified and straightforward as I can make it. If this is something that you are using or that you're trying to do, feel free to leave a comment to let me know what exactly it is you're doing or why you're doing it, so that I know I'm not alone in my crazy schizophrenic ways. But thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to include a little cheat sheet, I guess, at the very end of the video as a still frame. If you want to refer back to it, you can pause it, and it's just going to show all of the byte locations that were overwritten and kind of have a key for what they were referring to, so that you can see it all in one place without having to actually go through the video if you're looking for something in particular. So thank you guys for watching, and enjoy your day.